seems to have lower and lower win rate. In Legend in particular, I think that Tempo Mage is actually around 50% versus it, so it's hard to actually call that a favor towards the Face Hunter. Of course, things are very different in Grandmasters in terms of both skill level and the specific lists that we'll be looking at. So I hope we get to see Face Hunter versus Tempo Mage at some point. However, we'll start out with the Secret Rogue.
And a beautiful starting curve there for Glory. 1 into 2, get the +2 attack, draw yourself, hopefully Vulpatinga, you'd imagine, to fill out the curve as nicely as possible. But wow, no slouch of a hand on the other side for blitzchung, my goodness.
Yeah, that is the counter hand for blitzchung. And he could very well just stab away the 1-2 as early as now, because he still has coin to activate Miscreant for the next turn. And it already feels like Glory's in a tough spot.
Oh! Restless Mummy as well is pretty premium. If you want to deal with 2 3/3s on the board off of a Vulpatinga, that'll do a good job of it for sure.
That is just straight up the best reborn minion you can get for this matchup.
Yeah.
Colossus of the Moon is the best one you can get for Galacon Warlock, but Restless Mummy is pretty much the best in nearly every other situation. And Glory did not pick up the Vulpatinga. Oh, but the Tour Guide, that is a huge draw for this turn.
That is a big one. We're seeing the secrets for Glory being Pressure Plate, Freezing Trap, Pack Tactics. So it's only going with 3 here instead of the more usual 4 in some way.
Yeah, he slotted in an animal companion in here as well, in the spot of one of the 4th secret that you might see in other lists. And he also has Double Cult Neophyte instead of Imprisoned Felmaw, which I think is a decent substitution to make if you're not expecting that much Druid in the field.
That's fair. Obviously here, 100% information gained for blitzchung. He knows this to be Pressure Plate now with that 1 attack. In which case, you could go attack face and then play a spell. You might want to use the attack of the Evil Miscreant, however, in order to take out the Phase Stalker, which I wouldn't hate either.
Yeah, the Pressure Plate ordering makes everything difficult, because if you could guarantee that the Pharaoh Cat died, there was a clear here with the backstab and the rush Black Knee. But because of the Pressure Plate, it couldn't be guaranteed, so I think the line is entirely warranted. He has the Mummy the next turn to deal with the 4 or 5, but it'll get scary if he expects another secret in play.
Oh, it's a powerful hand, but kind of an awkward one as well.
Yeah, Glory just can't fit in the hero power with anything of impact this turn. Voracious Reader will draw 0 cards if it comes down.
Oh, you've got to just play Dragonbane, right? Like, it's so much more powerful than anything else he can do this turn.
Yep, I would agree. Then if either the Dragonbane or the Phase Stalker sticks, then you're happy with the hero power the next turn. So he's going for the bow instead. And it's all headed to the dome.
Yeah, in terms of the secrets, there's 1 ambush in the list for blitzchung, which I guess would be pretty devastating. Very interesting, though.
Why? But this Edwin... Oh, I guess it's not that good this turn, because you don't have anything to prep out.
It's not terrible. You could still just go backstab, prep, and then I'm just wondering if you go Goblin Lackey before or after the Edwin, because you could rush it into the Phase Stalker itself and keep the rest of your board intact.
Yeah, looks like he's going for that.
I think this is very smart.
Value trades are really, really big here. Even if you don't get the +2/+2 on the Edwin, if Glory has to face tank that a single time, then you're happy. And if it's not face tanking, then what, he's going to spend 3 mana to deal with it with a Dwarven Sharpshooter? That's a win too.
And I gotta say, Gia, Glory does not look like he's in a better position for having played Longbow. For having played Eaglehorn Bow instead of Dragonbane. That would still have been sitting around on board here, or at the very least, forced blitzchung to have made a much more awkward play in terms of clearing it off.
For sure, and we do know that most likely his decision was informed by the ambush, but Glory had to consider whether he even wins if ambush was not on board.
I think just given that it's a one-off, like, if we want to just look at raw stats after a full mull, like, it's 1 in 5 that is the ambush. I'll take those opportunities. Like, not exactly, because they'd probably play it more highly than the other ones in hand if they'd drawn multiple, but I still just think you take the risk there. It's worth the reward.
This is just so backbreaking for Glory. He had to play the Voracious for 1 draw, but when Face Hunter has fallen this far behind, there's no coming back. blitzchung has a wide board as well, so it's not like Glory can go for a Dragonbane cheese them game plan.
Yeah, the Dragonbane's
But that
just
might be the only game plan. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not good enough anymore, is it? I guess the best target is Face, and then maybe you get Huffer into kill command?
Yeah, I think that was the out.
Yeah.
But it is not available. Oh, Hothead even with the ambush.
Yikes.
Glory is so out of this.
Yeah, he kind of is, isn't he?
Not the end of the world though, because I think we were expecting the mage from blitzchung to get bullied a lot more. The rogue did seem to have pretty good matchups across the board.
Yeah.
You fell right into my trap.
And it's always a difficult part of the job to fault players when they have to play on imperfect information. You know, you're playing the odds in this situation, but it does just seem like, on average, there Glory was not fighting hard enough for board when the burn plan was not available.
So blitzchung has seen, what secrets has he even seen by this point?
Well, he knows it to be... sorry, on blitzchung's side, not Glory's side. It was just, I think, there he couldn't have figured anything out. And either way, he can clear the board, so he's not too upset.
The big kicker is the taunt. If he didn't have the Hothead, there were still some outs for Glory. Like we were saying, Kill Command, Animal Companion with the other bow charge. But now he has like 0 things to worry about. He even put down Cult Neophyte to make sure that he can't fit in a hero power.
Sign
Glory had exactly Huffer and Kill Command.
Yeah, you know, if there was like explosive trap available here, maybe we could start talking, but even that, not even run in the deck. blitzchung takes a very convincing game 1 there, off the back of one tough, questionable turn for Glory, and honestly, from blitzchung, it wasn't the most difficult of games, considering how strong his hand was at the start, but I think he played around the secrets at all point very well. Rushing the Edwin instead of greeting it out as an 8-8, I thought was very smart. He just knew how to abuse the predictability of the 3 Hunter secrets there very well.
Yeah, it's very different. That's another reason why I suppose Face Hunter has higher win rate in the lower ranks. It's people don't know how to play around secrets, and they could just be running a wacky package that you don't expect. Like explosive traps have popped up every now and then. But for the GM meta, it seems very settled that freezing trap, pressure plate, and pack tactics are the ones you want to have. That being said, I believe Alutemu has a 1 of snipe in his list that we could see later.
Yeah, that's a different kettle of fish entirely. I'm not sure I'm necessarily more of a fan of that one, because I don't think snipe is an especially powerful secret. But who knows? Maybe he's got some secret tech that we'll have to see later on. But for now, it is, of course, blitzchung up against Glory in our second match of the day. We're going to go to an ever so short break here. And when we come back, we're going to have the remainder of the series. We'll see you very shortly. We're in the midst of Glory up against blitzchung. Glory, obviously our representative, already going through to the World Championships to be held later on this year in December, as was just recently announced. So he's already got his spot booked, but being in Division A once again, he's really just trying to not get relegated here at the same time, which does look like is very likely to not happen. We don't want a silver name here that could potentially be happening over in Europe. I think we're safe from that here in Asia-Pacific. Although, having said that, up against blitzchung, he isn't in the best of situations. The Rogue getting the win, like you said, was kind of expected, but you're still 0-1 down. You're never happy when that happens.
And it looks like for the next game, it'll be blitzchung piloting the Hunter up against Glory's Demon Hunter. So I think Glory has definitely found a favorable for him here. Demon Hunter has a great against Face Hunter because they don't necessarily rely on minions to get the clears done, and so they don't fall as prey to Freezing Trap. And on top of that, they have so much healing that the Face Hunter hates to see.
Yeah, I think that the real thing that you have to bear in mind is obviously we know that Demon Hunter has a reasonable amount of healing. It's nothing insane now that I-Beams have left the list all but completely. But with the Soul Fragments and the Warblades, it's still very potent in terms of the healing. But what that really unlocks is not a control game plan, but a counter-aggro game plan. You can simultaneously offset the damage from Hunter whilst also pushing forward your own burst plan. And when you combo that with the fact that you have your own very strong minions in the early game, it's a recipe for, in my opinion, a pretty strong matchup for the Demon Hunter.
Indeed. And Shard Shatter Mystic is a huge part of that as well. The single card can sweep up even the 3/3 Vulpertinkers if that's the draw off of Scavenger's Ingenuity. And that's why Imprisoned Felma is very important to have if you're thinking you're going to face off against Demon Hunter. The card has been cut from other lists, but I think it's crucial to win this matchup in particular.
Yeah, I think it's just a pretty strong hand altogether for blitzchung. Scavenger's Ingenuity, despite still, I can't get my head over this, despite having been nerfed, it used to give +3/+3, which was absolutely bananas, and I think would break the game at this point. Scavenger's Ingenuity and Felmore, for me, are really the powerhouse cards that you want to be hitting in the matchup.
However, that is not the companion that blitzchung wanted to see, because for Glory it just takes the hero power to trade off Little Refa, but blitzchung's curve does come together pretty nicely. It's just tough to sometimes evaluate whether you want to get down the Ingenuity before the Felma. But I think because Ingenuity is a bit more flexible about when you want to time it, I like going for the Felma first.
I like it too. It's just generally, in my opinion, always better to play it out as the first of your threats if you have any choice. However, Glory, though, on the other side, despite facing down a very proactive board development here, has got himself not a terrible hand, I will say. It's nothing staggering because he doesn't have, as you said earlier on, the Shard Shatter or the Blade Dance, but he can still fight for board fairly well.
Can he? I don't know. This feels pretty weak against the Vulpertingers plus the Felma, which comes online later on. I was gonna agree if you said he has a good hand for just curving out, which he certainly does. Marrow Slicer, Lapidary, and the Sociologist. To me, this looks like the counter pressure hand that you were talking about is the other thing that Demon Hunter can do.
Right, and that's good for me. Like, he doesn't have to kill off every single minion on Curvid to stay alive. He has the Eldraki, and when you combo that with Twin Slice and, more importantly, even the Lapidary, that is where a huge amount of healing comes through, and he can just only clear off the absolutely necessary minions along the way.
Right. Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that he could fight for board relatively well, which I don't think he can, but he can put together the damage and try to counter lethal. Because as it stands, blitzchung can take a value trade here, and without the Shadow Shard, this is looking pretty scary for Glory.
I guess so. I guess when you factor all of this in, it does start to get a little bit rough.
And as it stands, I don't think the race game plan gets there, because blitzchung's board is absolutely insane. Even drops the Freezing Trap on a low value target, but it's enough to protect the Felma. And if Glory doesn't have minions to get through this, then he likely has to face tank.
You know what, Gia? Straight up, the dream is just alive for me here for Glory. I'm feeling it here. He's got Spirit Jailer into the weapon. He's got the Warblades to get lifesteal now. That's the soul fragments he needed. Now Lapidary is alive next turn. That's 7 heal next turn. Skull comes down. He has cheap minions. The Dream is alive.
Yep. But that's a Dragon Bane that's active
That's a
this
good
turn.
draw.
Oh my goodness. Pretty insane for both players, not going to lie. I like blitzchung's game plan. You take the 50-50 for it going face. If it hits the minion, then you missed 1 damage. Big deal. Well,
Ooh,
Lapidary.
interesting. I kind of like coin second slice as well.
Yeah, you heal for a little bit more.
Still got the skull. I like this.
Yeah, the militia comes down 1 turn later, but it probably wasn't even enough to deal with everything after now he's consumed 1 of the fragments. And for blitzchung, the game plan is very simple.
Oh, yeah.
Just 1 off lethal.
Hero power, 2 damage off lethal in the end here, I think, for blitzchung, which is looking very good for him. Make no mistake, 2 damage off lethal when you're a hunter is usually a winning game plan. But the Dream is still alive, Gia. I'm not giving up on Glory quite yet, okay?
Okay. How many fragments you feeling?
It's not over till it's over, Gia. Don't even say it, okay? The Dream is still alive!
Wait.
No!
He had Chaos Strike for maybe 2 fragments. I don't know. It's probably not even enough to get through the weapon.
Alright, you know what? I'm starting to doubt Glory's chances in this particular game. I'll give you that at least, Gia. As blitzchung does go up 2-0 with both the Rogue against the Hunter, and then his own Hunter up against the Demon Hunter on the other side. It felt like a bit of a tough game there for Glory, I will say. The only question mark is the fact that he threw away Panthara in the opening hand, which I guess in such an aggressive matchup, a card that's effectively a 3-drop does make sense to throw away.
I like the hard mull for the Shard Shatter Mystic. That card makes the entire game, I would say, in the early game. And you had a fair point that if blitzchung hadn't gotten exactly the Dragonbane turn 5, then Glory did have breathing room with the Lapidary for a big heal on the next turn. But it just goes to show how important Thelmaw is and how important the Scavenger's Ingenuity are in that particular matchup. And it's huge for the match as a whole because blitzchung has now won a favorable and an unfavorable. So Glory has to sweep the Mage to win the series.
He does indeed. And while Mage is, in my opinion, despite hearing some protestations to the otherwise, or at least to the severity of how bad it is, I still think Mage is in a bad spot against both Demon Hunter and regular Face Hunter. Not quite so disastrously, because even though I did just earlier on in the series refer to Face Hunter as a pure burn deck, that's obviously not true. There's not actually that much face damage in the deck when you break it down. 2 kill commands, 2 Eaglehorn bows, and a Dragonbane with very little charge damage whatsoever. It does rely on sticking that early board, which, to be fair, Mage can counteract. If they get the early high-tempo hand, they're not in the worst position.
But we'll talk about that matchup if it does come up later. We are going to go with Demon Hunter first. And blitzchung with the double Mana Giants and Conjurer's Calling in hand warrants a mention of what we think is an issue with the patch where Mana Giant, if you copy it with Potion of Illusion or get it off of Geppetto Joybuds, for example, if that's ever something you run, will generate 1/1s off of Conjurer's Calling. But the natural Mana Giants, discounted by the spells, still work.
Yep. Fear not, if it's an 8/8 version, it will give you the proper intended outcome of Conjurer's Calling. I mean, I thought the thing that you were going to bring up there was, do you keep the Giant? Because, let me tell you, Gia, I am a keep Giant gamer. I don't care that it is statistically the worst card to keep in the mulligan in almost every matchup. Sometimes, it's just good, and I won't hear anything to the otherwise.
You're going hard today. Like a while ago, it felt like we were watching different games, and now keep Giant without Evocation or Apprentice in hand.
You can't stop me. It's on the coin. That's already a 7-mana 8/8. That's above vanilla stats. Flawless argument. We'll see you next time
just gonna move on.
Lukewarm Takes.
See you next time on Do Not Mull This Over.
Indeed. Glory with, however, a very nice starting hand, though, curving out pretty well in fighting for the board early on, and then a very high damage hand to follow up with.
It's a clutch draw. Otherwise, without a turn 2 and potentially no mana feeder, he could have fallen a little bit too far behind that you can't necessarily justify Marrow Slicer to face, but now he has that game plan available. I think for Glory, all he's looking for is a Blade Dance to kind of support the face game plan.
Yeah, I agree completely. Blade Dance can be absolutely backbreaking in this matchup, and wow, there it is! Wow.
Right
looking
on
very
time.
strong now in the next couple of turns. Just he can ignore any big minions now and keep attacking face. So big.
For blitzchung though, the coin Raz feels like a decent way to keep curving out. He just doesn't have the pop-off type of hand that allows him to go for a big combo into an even more durable minion. So I think I'd just be inclined to play the Raz and hope that it's tank 6 from the Marrow Slicer.
I agree. I really, really like the coin Raz on this turn. I think you just want to throw down the biggest threat you can every turn. And against the expected play, I suppose you could say, of Lapidary, it is awkward because they then have to leave it in play unless they want to sink 9 damage into it.
Oh, but the Chaos Strike draw, easiest Blade Dance of Glory's like.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Incredibly powerful here. And thanks to both the Spirit Jailer and the Marrow Slicer, plenty of soul fragments to go around for these Lapidaries. It's looking rough already for blitzchung.
Yeah, he needs a miracle. To the point where he's prioritizing Arcane Intellect over a decent play onto the board, and I think that's absolutely warranted. He needs Mana Giants. Okay,
Ooh, mirror image.
Yeah.
Nice draw, nice draw.
Does it come down this turn, though, is the question? You do have Apprentice in hand, but no Cyclone to pay off, so I do think you do just spend the mana.
This is just plus health at this point. It stops them from going Lapidary, it stops them from going Marrow Slicer. It's a fantastic outcome.
Yeah. Horde Pillager Soul Shear can get through these 2 images, clear the way for the Soul Shard Lapidaries. Normally, you would feel fine with Kayn in hand, but the fact that Glory's hand was double Lapidary and not Twin Slices or that sort, he couldn't really put together Kayn and damage through the taunts on the same.
Snap Jandis, we're hoping for big taunts here to get in the way, and that is definitely not a big game.
It is a big game hunter. Okay, Lapidary. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. There were only 2 soul fragments in the deck, actually, for Glory, so I can understand the patience there.
Yep, let's just set up lethal for the following turn with Marrow Slicer plus Kayn.
Yep.
Oh.
Even if there were mirror images to come down, it would not be enough, so blitzchung needs either Frostbolt or Ice Barrier. Whoa! Is he in this? He's just in this.
He's just in this. That Frostbolt.
He's just set up counter lethal.
That single draw absolutely turned this around. Glory does not have lethal. He can't clear the board.
Glory hates to see it, and can't even draw lethal. And a soul fragment drawn. Militia does nothing? Militia does 1/3/3.
That can't activate.
He's just dead! Oh my god!
He's just dead.
He is just dead. Unbelievable.
I grow
I'm sorry, Big
impatient.
Game Hunter. You are an MVP this game. He can't believe it. I can't believe it. The game plan was laid out from the beginning for Glory, but one Jandis sticking for 2 turns into a Conjurer's Calling, plus the most clutch Frostbolt you've ever seen, means that blitzchung takes the series 3-0. He's now 4-2 in Division A, puts himself in a great spot to potentially even make top 2 playoffs.
Oh man, blitzchung just makes it look so easy. All these tempo decks, these aggro decks, he wasn't even thinking there for a second. And it's not like he was thinking and making questionable plays. He was just thinking and making the cleanest line, the highest odds play every single turn, it felt like, and came away with a very deserved 3-0 victory there. I really can't fault him on pretty much anything that series.
Yeah, I think maybe the only least straightforward decision, at least for blitzchung there, was going for Arcane Intellect instead of just saying, I'll take my 3-4 and 1 Thief, that's good enough. He realized he needed something bigger. He needed Jandis, and he needed a way to disrupt Glory's face game plan. And although it doesn't happen very often, when you give yourself the chance to hit the Frostbolt, sometimes you can take a game that was all but lost and swing it in your favor.
And I think as well, the thing that's kind of deceptive was how quickly he homed in on Frostbolt, because I was absolutely in the mindset of going Evocation, Giant, Conjurer's Calling. And when I saw the Evocation come up, I was like, oh, brilliant. That's the ability to hit the Giant, and then you can try and hit Tyrion or Walking Fountain or any way to heal or taunt up. But he instantly realized the better game plan within like half a second while I was just left in the dust and was able